6, public comments. At this time, any person may address the board on any subject within the district's jurisdiction which is not on the agenda. However, any non-agenda matter will be referred to staff for a report and/or action at a subsequent board meeting, and no action to be taken on any such item discussed unless the action has been authorized under section 54954, period 2, open parentheses, lowercase b, close parentheses of the government code. Any person may also address the board on any agenda matter at the time that the matter is discussed, prior to board consideration and action. Speakers are requested to limit comments to 5 minutes. Anyone would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
Tom Wardlaw. I wanted to bring you up to date because on May 30th, came to just announce that we've taken our lawn out. We're sort of like early adopters on these things and see what happens. But now it's been just a little less than a month, and after a lot of yakking with our family and so forth to decide what we're going to do xeriscape wise, we didn't know much about it. But it was completed yesterday with the help of the family and some friends. And looking at the water bill between the April and May, as well as between the March and April, we went from 14 units to 7. So I can't say positively that that was all because we stopped watering the lawn at that time, preparing to dig it up. But so I've heard that two-thirds of the water usage is from the outside in the lawn. So I guess it's possible that we could have had that. So we've saved, I guess, $15 on the bill this time. It'll take more than that to actually write off what we've invested, but we did that because we wanted to maintain the property in a way that we would respect. So I have some before and after photos, and I just thought this shows when we had the lawn, when we had it dug up, and then what we've come up with. If I could share this with the board. So I guess now I just have to ask, where do I go for my rebate?
Good evening, folks. Rick Webb. 2 things. First of all, I've seen the lighting's coming back on in the community, so the people aren't here. I told them they could come up here and let you folks know they were appreciative of it. Mr. Brett, is there a timeline when all of them are going to be back on? Because there's still a few that are off. So
They should have hoped you going now.
we're going to have a few that are off. So, but anyway, the other thing I wanted to share, and I know there are a lot of dynamics, and I've been part of it as far as the comments, but what I would ask as a community of the board, the newspapers keep beating up our district for no unfair reason. It's like it's open season. I know some of the board members have a greater sphere of influence over some of the newspapers, but how do we make progress forward if we keep taking a step back? And every time I open a paper up, it's negative information. We never report anything factual. I'm kind of tired of my community being a laughing stock. If we're dysfunctional, that's our fault. We need to make progress. But I'm going to ask the board, you, Mr. President, if you have any sphere of influence, or say so, sit down, maybe meet with some of the papers, and ask them, what's the whole point we're trying to accomplish? Because talking about what we didn't do doesn't get us any closer to what we should be doing. And at this point now, every time we read something, we make a step forward and take 2 steps back. I don't know if Steve is all that, I don't know if the board's all that, but as a team, we can do better. I would ask us to consider that, because every day someone comes up into the community and they'll say, why are they doing this? I'm no longer a board member, I don't know. The comment I made come to the board meetings, the comment they tell me they're not going to listen. I'm more optimistic. I believe that there is a common ground for all of us, the GM, his staff, and you folks in this community to work from. I want to ask us to consider that, because everything we do, it's like if you have a new business, you're spending more money than you're making. and then we don't know where the money's gonna come in after we spend all the money out. So I'd ask, is that we talk to these papers about the way they, they're projecting us, because they make us look bad. And I'd ask the board, the GM, to come up with a plan to move our community forward, because we're standing still. Thank you folks very much.
Hi, my name's Roger Hensley. I know that I was here 3, maybe 4 months ago, and I asked for a what do you call a report on the findings of the accusations of the 3 new board members that when they ran to get on this board, they had some accusations about what was going on in the water district here. So 2 months or 3, 4 months ago, whenever it was, I was told by council here that we couldn't talk about that until a certain court proceeding was finished. I believe that court proceeding is finished, and so on the next agenda, I would like to see some answers from these allegations from November and when you guys ran for this board. Because what's happened to this community since you guys ran for the board is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I do have this paper here. Olaf, looks like you've done some pretty bad stuff. You really need to step down. You tried to steal from this district. So you really need to step down.
I'm going to take that as slander, and if you want to be sued...
No, it says right here, unreasonably inflated. That's in the courts thing. Unreasonably inflated. That's what I'm saying. Exactly what it says in the court document. So that's all I'm asking for. Because the court document says that.
Point of
I'm
order,
asking for you to
please.
step down.
Point of order said, that teaching said he couldn't do that. He couldn't run down a person.
No. I'm asking for a resignation. I didn't run him down. I need to. This is public information, black and white. And if you want a copy of it, I'll give you the copy of it. And I'm asking for you to do us a favor to save my money and resign. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Gail Warnick with the Rosemont Community Watch Program. Just to give you guys an update where we are right now. Our monthly meeting is going to be held next Wednesday, June 17th, 6 p.m. at Hummel Hall. We're going to be touching on the graffiti that's been happening in the community. We have some people speaking about that. The sheriff's just giving us an update on where everything stands. Our next community cleanup is going to be next Saturday, June the 20th. We're going to be cleaning up the field behind Jack in the Box again. And we're going to meet up at 7:30 a.m. if anyone would like to come out. Even if you can give us an hour of your time, it is appreciated. And just to go ahead just a little bit, our cleanup day in July is going to be on the 18th. We're going to be having actually 2 that day. We're going to have a kids' day. A lot of the parents have been asking for something that the 10 and under crew can help out with. So we're going to have them working inside the fencing at United Park while the adults are focusing on United Street across the way. And once again, we are trying to get CHP, Kern County Fire Department to be out there for the kids, the ID kids, anything for the children to let them feel like they're a part of our community cleanups as well. And lastly, I wanted to mention our volunteer appreciation is going to be held in August, Saturday, August 15th, and we are in the really early planning stages of that, but it's going pretty well so far, and we are looking for sponsors for that if anyone's interested.
Let me bring you an update. The Sheriff's Department, CSU unit, has a child identification team, and we contact Paul Summers.
Something yesterday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director's comments, any reports on attendance at meetings or conferences, etc.
Is the Rosa Municipal Advisory Council will be meeting next Thursday night. That's on June 18th. And I'll see the bullet train people will be there. Interested to talk about if they want to run the bullet train through Roseman, where they run it, whether it be on the west side or it'll be right down Sierra Highway. But it'll be interesting to find out what they've got to say. Whether it's pie in the sky, if the bullet train ever comes into existence, it'll be fun to at least kind of look at the plans. So hope to see you there at 7 o'clock next Thursday night. But that's not tomorrow night, the 8th.
welcome to, glad you're here, and I've already given the report on the conference we went to. We had a teaching on the Brown Act, which was excellent, and we get some very good information.
Presentations, item 2. Any update, council?
Yes, the board had its recent workshop on Robert's Rules of Order, and after reviewing the information provided to the board at that meeting, it sparked some ideas for smoother running of board meetings that I will be bringing to you at our next available workshop. So some thoughts for how to keep the meetings running smoother and implementing some of those great things that were brought up in your recent workshop.
Very good.
I might mention in regard to the cash for grass or lawn buyback program, we're going to have about $10,200 so far in that account. We're developing the criteria and how we're going to go about doing that. The photographs that you have are perfect. That's what we need. But we'll be coming out with the notice, and it'll come out in your water bill and give you a time frame. And basically, in short, it's going to, because the revenues are so small at this point, if we can get, if we get 25 or 30 people that apply and qualify, then we'll divide that number into the amount available, so we're equal. We're still exploring whether or not it should be more equitable to calculate square footage of grass and do it on that line, but we're working on trying to get something. In the event that we get the governor's dollars to add to that, if we only receive 25 requests and we get the revenue in, one of two things can happen. We can either go out again, or because only 25 people applied, we'll go back and increase their reimbursement proportion. And I think that would probably be a more equitable way to do it, rather than people stand back and see what's available in how much money they're going to get. It's giving those that are stepping forward to do that. So we're still working on that, but it'll come out in your water bill shortly. And I know that the governor's dollars probably won't be till late July or August now. So hopefully we can get more word on that.
Steve, on the grass, are they issuing warnings to people they are?
Yeah, that's part of my report also.
I'm sorry.
And we had 79 work orders delivered. 60 letters were randomly delivered other than the 79 work orders in regard to lead and copper. Anybody that has got one of those random letters regarding lead and copper testing, it is a free test of your water. We want to go above and beyond, and we're going to be offering that free lead and copper testing of your water. That'll be happening, and then there were a number of letters, notices given to folks that were violating the conservation rules. It's more of a reminder letter that conservation rules are in place, and we had one instance where an individual crumpled up the notice after it was given to him, and after our person drove away, he turned his water back on. We had it reported to us right away, and instructed my staff to drive by and confirm that it was on, and if so, I was going to do a letter and go to stage 2, or our next step, and notify him by letter. He wasn't watering, but after that trip, he did water again, and then he stopped. But it was in direct defiance of our regulations. So if that happens, we'll notice them in the letter that the next violation will result in a fine. And before any fines monetarily are issued, they'll be reviewed, the water consumption will be reviewed, the intent of the ordinance or the regulations will be evaluated to see what level of fine that would be imposed. I'm going to meet with council to ensure that we're in proper order to institute the administrative fines, and they will be placed on the order.
That'll only be after the letters.
Well, we're going to make several attempts to get them to comply before we ever go that step.
You're talking about the intent of the regulation, you're talking about whether we've actually reduced their water from last year or what?
We will weigh all of that, yeah. Because you may have somebody that has actually reduced their water consumption and is complying with the intent of the conservation, but maybe just messing with it. And
Or maybe you need water on that day rather than the day off.
it may have messed up or something like that, but doing it 2 and 3 times after you've been told, that's kind of in your face. But, you know, some people just don't get or forget. There's circumstances that I think need to be evaluated with everyone. Our staff is not trained to be cops, so I don't want them in a confrontation with people in the field. So we'll evaluate it from afar. The superintendent is not here, and I'll give his report. They raised valve on Diamond, repaired 2 fire hydrants on Diamond Street, raised 1 fire hydrant. One of the issues with Diamond Street is there's a valve on one end that feeds all of the fire hydrants. And when they turn when they have to replace one, they have to turn them all off. So they were having a dilemma last week because we were needed the help on posting our door hangers and fire hydrants. And I told them, well, the fire hydrants are going to take precedent, and they got those repaired. They repaired exposed wires in Jim Wolford Park. They repaired blow off on San Jacinto and blow off on Sonora Court. The blow off on Sonora Court, we had received a.
What's blow off?
They vacate the line and let the water flow.
Oh, we do that ourselves.
Yeah, we do those, and the reason for that is if you have a dead end and water sits, it becomes stagnant. And because of the conservation regulations, staff had said, well, we're not going to blow them off as much. And I told them, no, public health and safety is more important than that conservation at this point, and we're going to blow them out, make sure that the water's safe and everything else. So that's what they were doing. They performed fire flow testing at Legacy Homes, 16 fire flow tests. Service lines repaired at 3242 Jerry, 3011 Ontario, and angle stops at 2 locations and 379 door tags on and removed some graffiti. And that's the end of mine and the assistant general manager's report.
We'll move to item 9, discussion and action items. Action for item A, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution 2015-10, approving an inter-fund promissory note between its water, street lighting and landscape, park and park maintenance, and sewer enterprise fund. Brad, are you going to handle that one? Or?
Yeah. So pursuant to the direction of the board of the meeting on the 27th of May, Finance has drafted a promissory note consolidating and refinancing all of the internal loans, the 222 FROMs, and the unfunded pension liability into one lump loan. It's been laid out before you in the schedules and the staff report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions, but I know that I've versed several of you on the intent of the loan and the ramifications of the loan.
$3 million coming from the sewer fund, and otherwise it needs to go to the water fund anyway.
Because the sewer fund has that available cash. It's the only fund that has that much money.
Okay, I guess, is it cash money we're actually giving, or we're just taking over a loan? That's the other thing. In other words,
It's really just a shifting of the costs. We actually have to pay a $900,000 bill to PERS, which we'll use part of that money to do. But for the most part, it's just stabilizing the loans from one place to another.
okay, so the $900,000 person will come out of that as well. And this will take effect when we sign it, or will this take effect the next budget year?
This promissory note will be in effect for the budget year. So all the payments will be
This year or next year?
15/16, so July 1.
Okay.
But we need to have it in place because the preliminary budget is coming back to this board next Wednesday. And so we need to have this approved in order to get the budget approved.
Is the sewer fund actually paying off Parks' obligation to water as part of this?
Yes.
So water will get that benefit of whatever they were out, maybe $1 million.
It's all laid out in the schedules in front of me.
And then I saw a $39,000 one, that's the one for the street lighting, is that right?
There's several numbers. Which one are you speaking about specifically?
Well, they had the loan amount values, there's several loans, and I guess the other question I have is all these loan amortization schedules that are attached, they're going to be part and parcel of the resolution, is that right?
To the promissory note.
Well, promissory note,
As
yes,
part of the.
as a promissory note, okay, so, and, see, for example, it doesn't say who the lender name is, or who it says loan amortization schedule, the loan amount, $39,586.67 at a 0.25% interest rate, 20 years, one payment per year, start date 7/1. I guess the question I have is, how do we know who's paying back? It's in the note itself?
It's all laid out in the amortization schedules, and it is part of the budget,
Oh, the new budget,
the new budget.
and which was approved, but I guess the question is, I assume that came from the streetlights, but though it's not the same number as we have for streetlights, is that right? Or it says 43,000 due to or from the streetlights to water. And I don't see 39,000, so I guess that's my question.
The 43,000 is the cash that particular fund used in excess of its available cash in the prior fiscal year.
Right.
It's what's called the due to, due from, and it's required to be paid back because it's not attached to any kind of an approved loan. So I have to pay it back before June 30th of this year. With some mechanism, whether it's this or some other vehicle that we choose to do, but by law, I have to pay it back.
Okay, and then I guess my question is, in future years, landscaping or streetlight is going to pay it back at $2,000 a year? Is that, I mean, that's the one for land, for streetlight.
The streetlights have several components attached to them. They have the $50,000 loan that you approved several months ago,
Right.
and they also have the due to, due from overspending of cash in the prior fiscal year.
Right.
So we've consolidated all of that into one number.
Okay, and I guess that's 39,000, right? I guess, is that the 39,000 is my question?
I'm looking for your $39,000 number. Where are you getting
It's
it?
it's on your loan amortization schedule, it's like fourth one from the end or third one from the beginning.
So yes, that's the total amount that Fund 4 will owe to the sewer fund over the amortization period.
Okay, Fund 4 is,
The lighting and landscape assessment district number 2.
okay.
Call for the question.
We need a motion.
I make the motion that we adopt resolution 25, 2015-10.
I'll second. We moved and seconded.
Now call for the question.
Open discussion.
Okay.
Anybody have any comments?
Doesn't do no good.
I just have one other question. I didn't get to that.
Motion's made and further advertised.
Object. No, I have a question. There was an present that.
I call for the question. It's called for the question. Okay. So all those in favor signify by saying.
We need a roll call, it's a resolution.
Roll call vote.
Director Dennis Shingledecker,
Aye.
Director Byron Glennon,
Aye.
Director Olaf Lansgard,
Hey,
Vice President Alfred Wallace,
Yes. Yes.
Board President.
Yes.
It passes 4-1, Director Lansgard voting no.
Okay, right, move to item B, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution 2015-11, amending the Employee Handbook.
These changes are to reflect the new law changes and are suggested that we adopt these changes because it is new law.
And there is a deadline looming for the adoption.
Do I have a motion?
So move resolution 2015-11.
I'll second it.
Any public discussion? Okay, hearing none. Call for the question. It's a roll call vote.
Director Dennis Shingledecker,
Yes.
Director Byron Glennon,
Yes.
Director Olaf Lansgard,
aye.
Vice President Alfred Wallace,
Aye.
Board President Morrison McKay.
Yes. 5-0.
Yes.
Okay, item C, discussion and possible action to sponsor the Roseman Community Watch Volunteer Appreciation Day fundraiser on August the 15th, 2015.
I have this put on the agenda, may I speak to it?
Yes.
You already heard a little bit from Gail, but it's coming up on August the 12th, the Appreciation Day and a fundraiser for their program, the Roseman Community Watch and cleanup. It's one of those jobs that when you do it, nobody notices it. But if you don't do it, people notice it. And there's different levels. Platinum is 500, it goes down to bronze, which is 25. My recommendation is we become a diamond sponsor for their first annual Volunteer Appreciation Day, which is $250. But it's at the board's discretion.
Is that a motion?
And I don't know if you want to speak to it anymore.
Let's discuss it a little bit.
We need a motion.
That'd be my suggestion on the motion. I make that a motion then, that we be a diamond sponsor. That's half a page for the event program and $250.
I'll second it.
Public discussion.
Roger Hensley again. This project that these guys are doing is great. I just have to ask, do we do things for the other things in this community, like Little League or anything like that? We run into the same thing out here at the Sky Park Association where we get hooked up into, we ought to donate money towards this, that, or the other, but we're spending money from property owners. So we gotta really think about that. And so, even though it's a good thing, nothing against you guys, this is not a donating facility. This is a business that's gotta make money. And I don't know if we got any, I've heard him say that we don't have any extra money, expendable, extra spending money to do $250 or anything. So that would be my question. it is a good thing, but we gotta be fair to everyone else, that if you're, it's the same thing with me and my business, I gotta donate to all these different things that go on. But this is not that type of business for donating that kind of things. If they can help out is one thing, provide a room, do this, that, or the other, but to actually put out hard money, you gotta be doing it for Little League, you gotta be doing it for all the little ones that are out here, or else we can't do it for any of them. And you gotta remember, it's everybody's money, so they really need to have a say-so in it.
Jack Miller, I just want to provide some additional information that everybody may not be aware of with the Roseman Community Watch Program. We're not just the watch program, we're also involved in, of course, the cleanup project around the city, which needs much involvement from everybody. But in addition, we also have the new program of the graffiti project. So by us doing the graffiti project, we're actually saving the community money in terms of RCSD, the county, and so forth. So I think that their donation, even though they can understand your financial outlook towards it, but from another financial aspect, it's actually saving them money because we have volunteers that are involved in assisting what their responsibility is, and it's actually saving them money. So I'm all for it, and I just want to make sure everybody understood that we don't just go out looking for crime and stuff like that. We're actually trying to clean up the community completely with community involvement. And to do that, it takes funds. So to do everything we're trying to do. So we're not trying to beat up anybody. We're not trying to beat up RCSD or anything like that. We're just trying to make a better community. So thank you.
Well, I knew that was going to come up. The way it was put out that they're doing our responsibility. They have volunteered to do that. We have a responsibility. We'll take care of that responsibility. And I don't want anybody to think that we're shirking our responsibility. A group of community members want to do something. I think it's a good thing. And I'll leave it at that. As far as the contribution, I think there's merit in what was said as far as the revenues that we have. Where will it stop in the contribution? I'd much rather give it out of my own pocket than for the district to move in that direction. It's not that I don't think that they deserve it, because they certainly do. They do a lot of work, and it's great for the community, and they're relentless at it. So they're deserving, but that's a decision of the board.
Can I speak? Yes. They are a service organization. Unlike the other items that were spoken of by the Little League and all those other organizations that are great, none of those are service organizations.
They're service to the kids.
There's no question. They said, no, they are a service organization, much like the Roseman Rotary Club. And we give money in the thousands of dollars to the Rotary Club. They are a service organization much more than the Chamber of Commerce, and we give the money in the thousands of dollars to the Chamber of Commerce. If we ever had a chance to get more collect for our buck, $250 is very well spent. This is an organization that doesn't just talk, it is out there doing. It's out there doing more than any other organization in this community, and to sit there and say, well, we don't have the money to do it, is both not true, and it's also a disservice to find people who volunteer at that organization. First of all, we do have discretionary money we can spend on everything. The board wants to make policy whenever we spend any money again on anything, that's one thing. This is a service organization. It is not the Little League. It's not soccer or any of those other things, which I think probably need some recognition as well. But when it comes down to spending $250 to encourage the people that actually are out there doing this community, I think if we're going to not vote for it because we're jealous of it, that's fine. But if we're actually going to be consistent, when we donate to the Chamber of Commerce, and we donate to the Roseman Rotary Club, and not donating a small amount to the Roseman Community Watch Program, I think that's not consistent.
Mr. Clinton, without amending your motion, can I get you to modify your motion modification would be that each director chip in $50 to buy this dining.
I'll be fine with that.
And the general manager?
And then gentlemen, make it 300.
Did the
That's
seconder concur?
Pardon?
Did the seconder concur with you?
I concur.
So, any public discussion?
Just one other thing. I'm glad you guys thought about that. I'm not against what they're doing, and I'll give out of my own business because that's my pocket, my own decision, and my money only. Not everybody else's, so that's good.
We have a motion on the floor. It's been modified, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
But I would still like to see this as it's coming from in-service district in the advertising.
Yes, but we're
Our
paying
names
for
should
it.
be on there, but.
Just put it from the district and we'll pay for
Yeah,
it.
okay.
6 of us.
So do we give that to the district, Steve?
I was good with her directly.
We can give it to you.
Make it 2.
Rosamond Community Watch Program.
We can put RCWP.
Consent calendar. Approve items A, B, and C. Do I have a motion?
Wait, legal counsel?
Do I have to leave on this one or?
No,
You
no.
do not have to leave for reimbursement. Oh, sorry, you have a related party.
What about me, I guess?
You're okay. Director Wallace, you may stay. Director Lansgard, you have a related party item, so we need to do A and B separate from C. Or have you leave and do all A, B, and C together.
Yeah, you go.
So I can vote on it?
You can vote on this.
Do I need to state the conflict or not?
Yes, you do.
I will second. Do I have a
So
second?
the one bill is, hang on a second. The reason I'm stepping out, one bill is payable to the company that my brother runs, Carl's Harbor.
Second?
Second.
Any public discussion? It's been moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
4, 1 abstaining. Move to item 11, outstanding items, written communications. Any written communications? Request for future agenda items.
I have one item that our account made us aware of. Did you want to tell us about the land of the mortgage?
Did we do C? Pardon me? Did we do C? Because she said we need to do A and B separate.
Director Lansgard recused himself, and we did all 3 of those.
What was the question, Director Lansgard?
I understand that we have a mortgage on this place or not?
Some mortgage on this place?
Yes.
We had a loan on it,
What happened to it?
paid it off.
When are we going to burn the mortgage, I guess?
Congratulations.
Yes. So I would like to know if there's something we can do as far as setting up a celebrate the mortgage. That's what I was for future agenda.
Board pleasure.
Well, further discussion. Okay, moves us to item 12, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.